Alright guys, the purpose of this video is going to show you a basic overview of runes. First thing you need to do is go to a runecraft station. You're going to open this up, and this is what's going to be here. It's going to be probably a little overwhelming. Don't worry about it. I'm going to go over all three of these tabs. For starters, we'll go over basic runes. As you can see on the left hand side here, runes have various elemental types to include fusion, which we'll get into. So you have water, life, air, fire, logic, earth. Now, if you look at your items, you can see open fire slot. I have some runes on this weapon, but open fire slot, open logic slot, open fire slots, open earth slots, water slots. Every piece of gear is going to have elemental slots associated with it. Now you can reroll these slots. I'll also get into that a little later. But, so, let's say, for example, on my shoulders here, I have 2 open water slots. So I'd go over to the water tab, and here's what I could do for level 50. I could have a high rune, multi-hit. It gives me 200 multi-hit rating, or I could have glance. What else do I have on here? Earth. So if I wanted to do earth, here I've got crit strike, resilience, armor. If for some reason you had a fusion on here, you could go down to fusion, and these fusion ones they're like special runes. They add a whole bunch of stuff to them. You see, there's a bunch of them. For this overflow one, when you land a direct hit, a heal on a target with 100% health, you restore the shield instead. Can I do this every 2 seconds? So these are kind of cool. Fusion runes are definitely interesting. Now, let's get into the crafting. So let's say, okay, I want to craft this one. On the bottom here, it's going to tell you what you need. Right? So you need signs of water, the signs of elemental, whatever the elemental type is, are always going to correspond to the elemental type of the rune. So sign of water for water, sign of life for life, right? Basic, simple. Then you're going to have fragments that you need for these basic runes. And you would just click craft. It'll take this much gold as well, and you craft the rune, and then it's going to put it into your inventory. Something like this, right? So there you go. Now, rune sets. This is where runes get a little more complicated. On the top left corner, you can sort it by any class you want. Obviously, you want to pick your class, in my case, Spellslinger, and it's going to have various runes that are associated with a certain set, right? So, Devastation, for example. When you click on it, it brings up, there's fire, earth, and life. When you click on Defiance, it's water, earth, and air. So each set has corresponding elemental types that are associated with it. Now, the reason set runes are kind of important and cool is because they do 2 things. They're going to provide a bonus, like the basic runes, but then they're going to stack a set bonus if you have X amount of them in one piece of gear. So I'll show you. So right here, Superb Devastation rune of critical hit. It goes into a fire slot. It'll provide me with 269 critical hit rating, and when I have more than one of this rune, because this one's only worth 1 point, see, adds 1 power to Devastation rune set bonus. At 2 power, I'd get an additional 0.21% strike through, and it keeps stacking. So it's kind of like Diablo sets where you would have multiple pieces of the gear on you and you would get the set bonus, or like in World of Warcraft when you have multiple sets of your PvP gear, it gives you that set bonus. Same idea. Now these runes are a little more costly to make because they require an additional piece to them called a set focus. For these 1 power ones, you just need the minor, but when you get to this one's a 2 power one, as you can see, it has the same critical hit rating on it, but it's providing you with 2 power points. So right away, I wouldn't need any other pieces on my gear other than this one to get the 2 set piece bonus because it's worth 2 points. Another thing to notice here is it'll say what the required level of the set rune is. It'll say you what the item level of this set rune is, and then it will say what the required item level is. I'll get to that in a second. So, if you go from, this is the 1 power one, right? It's a superb set focus minor. Now, if you go to the 2 one, it requires a major. And you can see the buy orders and the sell orders for majors, they're crazy. They cost plat, like a lot of plat. You also need superb rune fragments. I'll show you guys the best way to get this stuff just by playing instead of buying it from the auction house towards the end of the video. Now, you can mess with this and increase the level value. And when you do, like look, required item level 90 now. Okay, well the Season 2 PvP gear, even when you've imbued it all the way up to the top, it's still an item level 70. So you don't need to be messing around with this stuff. And you can see it requires a different type of set focus, and it requires pure runes. These are like for raiding. See, it goes up to 120, where you have divine, requires 110, requires divine rune fragments, divine set. This is all for raiding. For PvP, we're pretty much going to be in the level 80 bracket. You know, and this is going to be the highest one you're going to use is these two power ones. All right, so each build for your class is going to be different. You know, devastation might be good for me, or alleviation might be good. You know, it's going to be really dependent on what your spec is and your class. Make sure to do the research, figure out what you want before you go about, you know, crafting this stuff, because it is pricey. Now, when you're ready to equip your runes, you're going to take your item off your character or your inventory, and you're going to plug it into here. Right? And it's going to have these are your rune slots. Now, as you can see, I have 3 out of 6 devastation already on here, which means that I'm getting the 0.20% crit hit chance. I'm also getting the 0.21 strike through because I have a tier 3 tier bonus on my runes. I'm getting that because I have this at 1 power. It's a superb devastation rune. I have the superb devastation rune earth, and then I also have one for life. Now here is also something interesting to note. You can only have 1 of these on your items. So I can't have 2 of these fire runes. See, if I click here, I can't do it, even though I have the item right here. Superb devastation rune, critical hit. Superb devastation rune, critical hit. You can only have 1, which is where the higher tiered version, where it's 2 power, comes into play. So keep that in mind when you're creating your runes. Ideally, you would want 6 of 6 of your entire rune set on each of your items. So your weapon, your helmet, your shoulders, your chest, your gloves, your pants, your boots, right? You want all of that. And when you imbue it, it's going to unlock more slots. So here is my maxed out PvP pistols. See, notice how they're like orange? They have 5 slots on them. Compare it to my boots, which are right when you buy them off the vendor. I haven't imbued them yet. And the imbuements, by the way, the Gladiator's boot enhancers that it says under the imbuement tab there, you buy that on the vendor, or you can find it out of PvP bags for winning. So it only has 2 slots. So there you go. You gotta imbue that stuff up. Now, you see this little dice icon here? It lets me re-roll a rune slot. Now, I can either do it random and just keep doing it until I get the one I want, or I can force it with this icon here. And what this is called a service token. Service tokens are sold in the in-game store, but you can also get them from daily login rewards. And they're used for a variety of things, to include making dyeing in a higher outfit much cheaper. But you make money pretty fast now if you max out your Elder Gems every week. So anyways, you can force a rune slot, but you just want to re-roll it until you get what you want. And so some of you may have these rune tokens here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you where to hand those rune tokens in. Alright, so we're at the rune exchange stuff. I'm going to show you where that is in the map. If you were in the Luminous Gardens, right, it is in the trade. This is the trade area. You've got your trade skills, you've got your rune crafting station here. This is the area that I'm circling right now, where you normally pick up your contracts and your, you know, PvP, PvE gear. You can just go south of that. There's an auction house right here, bank stuff, mailbox, and then if you go north, you can come over here to this guy. So you go to your rune exchange. We want the set rune exchange. You don't want basic runes. You can make basic runes for cheap. There's no reason to do that. You want to use your rune exchanges on these, and then you're going to come in here, and you're going to say, okay, I want Devastation runes, right? And he's going to have everything from Superb to Divine. Well, remember, you're not going to be able to use Divine because you don't have a level 110 item. We are rocking 70 for our PvP Arena 2 gear. So you're going to exchange it for the ones you want, and done. That's going to be much easier and much cheaper for you to craft that way than trying to make the rune itself. So if you come over here to this building, you actually have the rune crafting station, right? So Devastation, level 80, okay. I mean, this stuff is not cheap by any means. Now, here's the thing. You can't get the +2 bonus off the rune exchange. You can only get the one set power one. It's okay. It's a great way to start out when you don't have a lot of money early on. But eventually, you're probably going to want to make these. So, because like I said, they're unique. You can only have one of them on a piece at a time. So, anyways. Now, what I was talking about is the way to get materials outside of buying them. When you get something, you know, when you're leveling up, you're going to get gear from doing various activities in the game. Some of it you may not be able to use. Well, the reason they do that is because they want you to salvage it. So you take the item and you'd put it into your salvage items. When you do that, watch on the left-hand side. It's going to say, you want to salvage this? You're going to say yes. A bunch of shit's going to pop out, and bam, look, I got some stuff out of it, right? When you do that, sometimes you'll get rune stuff as well. Sometimes you'll get fragments. Sometimes you'll get these set focuses. You'll get all sorts of pinata level shit out of it. You'll get these signs. So that's how you kind of start collecting this stuff and you start getting it. So keep that in mind. You don't want to just be buying it from the auction house. You want to try to save it up as you're going along, leveling up, getting your PvP gear, sharding your old PvP gear, stuff like that. So yep. Alright guys, I'm also going to show you an add-on that I think is super helpful for runes and figuring out what you want. It's called Rune Master. You can download it through Curse Client. Now, when you have Rune Master up, it's going to show you what you currently have. So for me, it's telling on my weapon I have 3 out of 3 Devastation. It's showing me what the bonuses I'm getting out of that are. It shows me the exact runes. It shows me what I have open. You know, I don't have anything going on here. I have no fusion bonus going on. I have just some basic runes on my pants. But let's say I wanted to go ahead and do my helmet, right? So I'd click on my helmet, and if you're on the basic runes, you could filter it. Like, let's say you didn't want to set one, you just wanted crit hit severity. It's going to tell you, okay, you'd have Earth, you can get a basic crit hit severity, but you'd have to re-roll because I clicked on my fire rune here. But if I clicked on my Earth one, okay, you're good to go. You could put it in there. If you have a fusion slot, it seems to always be on for fusion slots, the basic, so you can't really do anything about that. See, even when you filter it on and off, it really just stays the same. For general sets, you need to know what set you want. For Devastation, you want to have this on all because each of these is different. So anyways, so if I did this, right, let's say I wanted a 2, it would say, okay, if I actually went through with this, I'd have 2 out of 6. And then I went over here, I said, okay, I want to do this, I'd have 4 out of 6. And the last one, I could either do a 1, or I could do Earth 1, or Life 1 rather, and I'd be 6 out of 6, and I'd get all the benefits. Class sets, I didn't go over class sets. They're like advanced, general sets, but they do specific things based off of what you're using. Okay, like Flame Surge, for example, when I activate my Spell Surge, which is my main ability, and Spell Surge causes foe under the effects of your Ignite, Flame Burst, or Spell Surge to take extra damage. So these all like amplify certain abilities. When I use my Charge Shot, it gets me an empowerment, gives me 5% extra PvP power. I can stack that twice, last 4 seconds. These will cost, as you can see, to get the benefit though, you need 8. And I mean, these are super expensive to make. They are, the runes that you need for them are really difficult to get, and I mean, go for it if you really want, but the general sets is probably the better way to go. So yeah, and then when you want to craft, you come over here to craft a rune. It's going to tell you what you're missing. You would go to your rune crafting window, and then open up Rune Master. So you'd have to go back to the table over here. You just pop open your rune crafting station, and then you pop open your add-on. And then you would hit craft, and then you would hit rune. And it'll actually put it into, it'll craft this, and it'll put it into the gear for me. So that's that, and if you have any questions, let me know.